Welcome to another episode of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? I am Karen E. Osborne, your host, and I'm so glad you're with us today. I am the author of Getting It Right. You're probably so tired of hearing this, but maybe you're new. So I'm the author of Getting It Right and Tangled Lives and the upcoming Reckonings, which comes out in June. And I have a really lovely guest today. We met on her podcast and we had such a good time, such fun, that I asked her, won't you come and be on mine? And she said, yeah, happy to do it. So we have Susan Wingate. And let me just tell you a little bit about this extraordinary woman. So she is a #1 Amazon bestseller and award-winning. You should see when you go to her website, you're going to see all the awards she's won. An author of over 15 adult and young adult novels. She writes about big trouble in small towns. I love that quote. And she lives with her husband, Bob. Susan and I have a husband, Bob, too. We like our Bobs, on an island off the coast of Washington State. And her podcast, the one that I met her on, is called Dialogue Between the Lines. Welcome, welcome, Susan.
Thank you so much for having me on this show. And we did have fun. My sister listened to that show and she said, oh my goodness, Karen Osborne is awesome. I said, she really is, isn't she?
Well, nice to meet you. It's so nice to meet you now in person because it was a podcast, so we only heard each other, but now we get to see each other and you get to see Susan. So one of the first things that jumped out at me when I looked at it's a very nice website. It's got tons of different things on it. But one of the things that jumped out at me is your passion for wildlife. And so could you just tell us kind of what's the genesis of that? What's that about?
Yeah. Yes. You know, I have a lot of people that ask me that same question. Why are you feeding everybody? They say, well, you know, I really don't know when it started. I just knew that I loved animals. You know how you have a love for nature, love for animals, or you don't. And I know many people that are like, you know, I don't want any cats in my house, any dogs, so they're just like, I don't know what, I guess, animal averse, I guess. It's an aversion to having the mess, I guess. I'm the total opposite of that. And I don't mind the mess. That's my life. I mean, I track around and take care of my own, domestic pets, but the wildlife, I guess really, I would always be that person that stopped on the road and picked up a bird that was hit or injured or a cat or, whatever, and any animal really. But I started picking them up a lot. And this was back in Phoenix. We had several birds that would get, hit by cars. And so I found this organization, and it doesn't have a general location. It's like kind of spread out through Phoenix, which is good because Phoenix is huge, called For the Birds. But they didn't do just bird rehabilitation. They did wildlife in general. So they would do coyote, they would do raccoons, they would do deer, whatever showed up basically. And so after a couple of times of me bringing animals to them, they said, why don't you become a bird rehabber? Why don't you become a wildlife rehabber? And I said, okay, teach me how. And basically, we learn triage. And so we do triage on wild animals. So when I left Phoenix, I came up to the island, San Juan Island. And on San Juan Island is an outfit called Wolf Hollow Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. And it's fabulous. And I couldn't believe it. I didn't know. I came up here on a spur of the moment type of thing and was driving around with a real estate agent because I fell in love right away. And she drove past this rehabilitation center. I had no idea. And it was basically hook, line, and sinker. I was buying. I knew it, and I was buying here. And so basically, that's how it happened. And I haven't stopped. In fact, I looking out at all the birds. I go out and I just totally destroy my surroundings with seed and food and all sorts of things. But they come to the windows. They come. I've got one little raccoon who actually knocked on the door the other morning. She was like rattling. So she comes for her eggs in the morning, and she's precious. So
Oh, I
that's
love that. I love that story. I have a dear friend who used to cook for the raccoons every morning. And she says, no, they really like bacon and they like scramble. And she's scrambling eggs. And then she would talk to them and she'd say, no, no crowding. Wait your
yeah.
turn. And
Oh,
you
oh,
two
I
would get
love her.
along.
Oh, yeah, we would. We would definitely get along. And Peggy likes her eggs. So I give her a couple eggs in the morning, and they like kitty treats, but who doesn't like bacon and eggs, right?
So just go back in time, even back further than that, and tell us what kind of reader you were as a child. Were there books that inspired you? Were there books that have kind of stuck with you through your journey?
Yes, I wasn't a reader like my sister. My sister had a book in her face 24/7. I couldn't believe it. Her name is Elizabeth Ajami Boyer, and she's also an author. But
Mm.
she just read all the time, and I would have to have something ignite me. Um, so I was a very picky reader, but I think I
Mm.
was a picky reader because I was ADD. So it had to really grab me and hold me, or else my mind was flitting off in another direction. But Nancy Drew was one of my go-to.
Yeah.
Black Beauty, of course,
Mm.
because the
Mm.
animal thing was another, go-to. And then as I got older, I started reading like Raymond Chandler and Arthur Conan Doyle,
Mm.
all of these. Yeah. So I was really into mysteries and, the riddle and who done it and that sort of thing.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those, so many people mentioned Nancy Drew. It really affected so many of us as
Oh my.
children and as writers. So, uh, the other thing that I was interested in, maybe just selfishly interested in, is that I find movies get me writing. I watch a movie and I think, oh, I look at the expressions of the actors and I think I could describe that. I could capture that on the page so that my characters are conveying what this actor is. So I just wondered if there were any films, or do you relate to that at all?
I love watching movies. I watch movies. I used to watch a lot more. I don't watch so many. I'm very busy with other things, but on my I have my favorite movies. And whenever Denzel Washington comes up, anything Denzel does, I'm like hook, line, and sinker again. But there's one in particular, and it's very violent, The Equalizer. But I love it
Mhm.
because because there are certain beats, and you can tell when something is going to happen. And there's these beats throughout that movie that are very recognizable. And it's a trick of the trade, right, for movies. But it's also a trick of the trade for writing novels. So we need to recognize our beats and have them spread out. There should be several. They say that 10 is about the fewest beats that a novel should have. So, if you can get 12 to 15 beats and keep the reader, they're, drooling a little bit and what's next and what's next. I think
So
that
describe
is,
for our audience what a beat is.
well,
What is
a
a
beat.
beat?
It's a pitch point in the scene or in the movie, excuse me, where something critical is going to happen. There's a choice to be made, or somebody walks in the room and they're evil, or in The Equalizer, there's a young girl who has been basically purchased for sex trade. It's about her story along with this Denzel character, and they show her in the one of the first scenes, and she is called by her pimp to show up, and she she ignores the call. She's in the cafe with Denzel, and instead she decides to go over and talk to him. And then the pimp calls again, and she ignores it again, and the car drives up right in front of where she is, and they're like, come on now, because the client is there, and she doesn't want to see this particular person. But there are other scenes. So
that's a beat right there, because something
where
she's
you're
making a
making
choice.
a choice, or somebody bad is showing up. In that case, both things happen at the same time, which is brilliant when you think about it. I mean, it's just like these turning points, I guess, is the best place or the best way to talk about beats. But there are these pit areas, where something, is going to happen. Yeah.
Yes,
And
and
that
usually
happens
there's
also.
music that accompanies it.
That's right. We don't have music in
We
novels.
don't have music. We have to
Not
make
yet.
it.
Not yet.
We have to make it work. Thank you.
That's
I
right.
think we have a lot of writers who watch this, a lot of readers, but also a lot of writers. So thank you. That was
Good.
very good. So when you think about all your accomplishments, and they are many, all the things, and as you just said earlier, I'm working on so many things, I don't even have time to watch movies so much anymore. Of all the things that you're interested in and involved with, and the things that you've accomplished, what gives you the most satisfaction? What are you proudest of?
For work or
Mhm.
anything? For work.
Anything. Well, actually, pick one for work and one for anything.
Okay. Well, one for anything is my husband. I'm just like, and I'm taking credit for him, although his mother probably should. No, he is like the reason I am here. And honestly, I really feel that to be true. He's the love of my life. So my husband, I'm so proud of him, and just think the world of him. But it for work, and I have, I've got the awards, and you have all these things that happen, and you have, you have interviews, and, all these things that are kind of weird, and they're kind of celebrated types of things. But really, when I think about it, it's that next story that gets finished. It's the next story. It's like, okay, that one is doing great, wonderful. And then you just go, oh, and you have to give it some time. You have to, promote it and do all the things that we do to get our book in front of readers. But boy, that's the last thing I want to do. And then the most that I want to do is just sit down and write, and keep writing, and finishing the stories. When I had my very first novel that came out, it was just awful. I mean, it's just a terrible novel, but I was so happy that I finished it. It was a real labor of love and support. I had my mentor, Michael Collins, helped me with that. He told me where I should go and what I should do and all that stuff. So he was very helpful, but when it was over, and I didn't have him to rely on. And I thought, oh no, I don't think I can write another one. Can I? And I did. And within like a matter of 2 months, I finished this story that I thought about, and I thought, wow, I just finished another one. And that one got picked up right away, which was kind of weird, because I didn't think it was
wonderful.
I didn't think it was good, and somebody liked it, and so she picked it up. Cambridge Books in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So I was thrilled, So I wrote another one, and then another one, and and that's what you do, and that's where my heart is for work. My heart is writing that next scene, that next story, finishing that next book.
Finishing it. Yeah, it is a wonderful, wonderful feeling. I came to it much later in my life, but it's just the greatest feeling. So are you working on something right now? Of course.
I am working. So I don't know why I did this. I've never done this before, but I thought, you know what? I want 3 books out this year. So I started 3, and I'm going from one story, and then I come to a natural end, and then I move to the next story, and then I move to the next story. So I'm working on 3 books at once, and I'm loving it. It's the best thing, I think, for an ADD mind. And I have a feeling that there are a lot of writers out there that are similar. We daydream, we fantasize, we storytell, we're a little bit ADD, and I think it really works for me. And I'm having a ball doing it, because I don't want it. I do get a little bored when I'm writing just one story. So to write 3 is really fun.
I am so impressed. I am incredibly impressed. I can't imagine keeping my characters straight for 3 books at the same time. So that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Where can our watchers, listeners, where can they find you if they want to learn about your books, if they want to learn about you, if they want to be in touch with you?
Yeah. They can go to my website, of course, susanwingate.com. It's and you can contact me there as well. So if somebody wants to contact me, I've got the contact form and everything. Also, since I have the opportunity, if there are writers out there that want to promote their books, you can go to that dialogue podcast page on my website and get in touch with me that way too. But, socially, via Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those, Pinterest. I like Pinterest. They have a lot of cat images. but all of those social sites, again, they can contact me through my website. So yeah.
Well, I highly recommend to all of you to, at a minimum, go to susanwingate.com. There's so much rich material there. There's so many things, and the dialogue podcast is there, and just start there. And you'll see all of her books, and you can try one and get to know her as a writer, because you want to be ready when her 3 new ones come out. So, thank you so much, Susan, and thank all of you for watching us today. And we'll see you next time on What Are You Reading? Oh, I didn't ask you for a reading recommendation. Do you have one?
Oh, always. I love Kurt Vonnegut. He's passed away. But Breakfast of Champions is one of my favorite all-time books.
There you go. Breakfast of Champions and all of Susan's books. Thank you so much for watching. What are you reading? What are you writing? And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.